If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, you're working hard, you're staying disciplined, but you keep hitting the same ceilings in your business or in your life, this video is going to explain exactly why. And I will say you're not alone, because most high performers, they don't get stuck because they're lacking effort or because they're not driven enough or disciplined enough. They get stuck because they misunderstand how performance works and how your efforts can compound to achieve success at the next level. In this video, I want to show you a model that I explain to my clients to help them understand why pushing harder actually often causes regression instead of progress or growth. I've seen the same patterns show up across entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, sales professionals, other high performers, athletes, people that are capable, people that are disciplined, but still run into the same ruts of feeling stuck. You might not know who I am. I'm Jesse Hoffman. I'm a mental performance coach. I've worked with dozens of 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs over the past decade, as well as athletes. If you're someone that enjoys human performance, sports psychology, leadership, building businesses, and just overall personal growth, then you found the right place. I'm happy to have you here. So I want to dive into this little piece of art for you right here, my art of achievement. And as you can see, I'm not an artist, but bear with me here. You see, for most people, the problem in success isn't necessarily effort. The mistake that I see most people make, as I mentioned, is they assume that to get to the next level, they need to add on more and more intensity and focus and discipline and grind. But performance is not a linear chart. It's not a linear path. It's actually achieved in layers. If you're looking to scale your business, you can't just go from 0 to 10K, 10K to 50K. There are progressions in which you need to be able to stabilize at a certain point so that you can fine-tune the specific skills or processes that will allow you to escape into that next level. As I break down this graph, if you can relate to anything that I've said so far, make sure to like this video and subscribe to stay up to date on all my upcoming videos around performance, identity, business growth, and much more. These are each of your performance levels. We can call this level 1, right? And we can call this level 2, boom. And what you'll see in this chart is that early progress is normal. You progress fast. There's an exponential curve early on. As you improve, as you compound skills, growth actually begins to slow down as your capacity within your current skill set, your current identity, whatever it is achieved. So through level 1, you reach a plateau. So this would technically be the plateau of level 1 here before you ramp up into level 2. Now, what I want you to remember throughout this video is that slowed growth is not a negative signal. It's actually a really great one for a few reasons. And that flattening, that plateau, is where most people will misinterpret what's going on in their business, their inputs, their outputs, and start to freak out and panic and grind because they're not seeing as much growth as they were off the bat. So remember, this plateau is a stability test for you. This is where you need to sustain performance over a long time horizon. And it's not necessarily about time alone, it's also about being able to cohere to your system that's gotten you to that plateau. And this is where identity comes into place, and being able to reground on why you're doing what you're doing on a deeper level than just business achievement or whatever, rooted to your identity, rooted to your operating values, and being someone that can endure stagnation without going crazy, without second guessing or misaligning your efforts. You don't level up just by touching the peak of the chart here. You level up by actually staying at that apex without collapsing or without going over the edge and regressing. And this regression happens by over-indexing on any given area of your life or even in your business. If you're growing a business, if you over-index on sales but not on delivery, your business will collapse. If you over-index on marketing and under-index on sales because of that, well, now you can't even sell what you're marketing. And so on the personal side of business, if you're a self-identified perfectionist and you want to be perceived as such a hard worker by everyone, and you're all about grind, but you neglect your personal relationships, you neglect your family, you neglect these other parts of your life, your physical health, because you're just business, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're the leader of that business, because it can only grow as much as you grow. And so that's where a lot of people or businesses get stuck, is that over-indexing on one area and neglecting another. And that's the importance of having harmony and synergy in your life and allowing your business to synergize with your family time, your personal time, your professional growth, and vice versa, so that you can continue to build a business or grow in your career or grow your skill set in a way that's aligned. So remember, grinding harder does not push you forward. It will actually knock you right off of that edge of performance. So as you see, level 2, like I said, it doesn't just go right up at the very peak of here. It actually only goes up after you've sustained a level of performance at level 1 long enough to then get pulled up into that next level. And again, that's where growth will happen a little bit more rapidly at first, and you begin to plateau again. What this indicates is alignment across all the roles of your company or across all the parts of whatever it is that you're achieving. And what allows you to plateau long enough to then start to be pulled up into that next level is during this plateau, you continue to refine your systems, maybe even your identity, your values, and all of those things. And as those get refined and upgraded, it unlocks your ability for exponential growth towards the next level. And the reason why so many people might miss that upgrade is because they overthink, they overanalyze, and they refine to a certain extent to where momentum is actually lost and they begin to regress. Maybe they're not executing fast enough because they have limiting beliefs, or because they haven't outsourced enough of the things that drain their energy that can be reallocated to another area or another person, or even automated by AI or whatever it is. They're holding on and micromanaging too many things, or whatever it is. There's a million reasons. And that in a lot of ways ties back to identity. Those limiting beliefs or anything else, your identity directly dictates your ability to respond to pressure and even endure pressure and tension. And part of what makes up your identity is the roles that you play in your life as a business owner, a husband, a son, a friend, a colleague, whatever it is. That is what dictates the balance of your energy. And when energy pours over into one area more than another, you create misalignment, you create instability. That instability breaks your system and prevents you from being able to sustain long enough to get pulled up to that next level. So if your identity and your roles and your values are not aligned, then you can't sustain long enough at that peak to get promoted and upgraded into that new level. So I want to remind you again, a reason why a lot of people fail is because they don't have the patience to sustain a plateau long enough to build out the improved systems, the improved identity, and all of those things that are required to get to the next level. So I want you to remember, the next time you think to yourself that you're stuck and you're wondering, how do I work harder? Why am I not as disciplined as this person or that person? Why have I not gotten further ahead? I'm so much smarter. I'm so much this, that, or the other thing. It's not a matter of overworking or overthinking or anything else. The question you need to ask yourself is, what part of my current system is not yet strong enough to support the level that I want to get to? Throughout that plateau, you need to dig into what is required to get to that next plateau. The work that needs to be done is, how can you build out a system that you'll be able to sustain for a long duration of time? And in that process of building out that system is when you feel the growth. The problem is, people think that now they achieve a plateau, something's going wrong. But no, all the work, all the preparation, all the effort that you poured in to your business was for the sake of getting to that place long enough so that you can learn the things that you need to learn to then look up to that next rung on the ladder, that next peak or that next plateau, and say, what needs to be sustained over an extended time horizon that I need to begin working on now in order to reach that new level. And this kind of falls hand in hand with my philosophy of being before you can become, on an identity level, on a business level. If you want to take a look at that video and the etymology of our existence and how you can rewire your brain to perform in the present tense and not be stuck anymore, then I'll leave that linked below. But this is central to the work that I do with each and every one of my clients. And it's not about pushing harder and harder and harder. What I care about is helping you to stabilize yourself, your identity, and be aligned so that you're capable of existing in that stillness of that plateau long enough for all the progress that you're putting in to stick, and then act as the jet fuel to push you up to that next level. If this video has shifted your perspective whatsoever around how you look at performance and has opened you up to the idea of being willing to sustain a steady performance longer than you're used to, well, I'm really glad. Make sure to subscribe here once again and leave in the comments below where you're trying to grow right now. Is it your business? Is it your personal life? Is it a sport? Is it maybe romantic relationships? This applies across the board to every area of your life. I'll be breaking this down a bit deeper in a few different videos, and I hope to see you there. In the meantime, let's crush it. Stay aligned. Talk to you later. Peace.